I've been on this planet, I can't tell you how many times, even prior to this 25,000 year period. That's why, in terms of being able to pull things and do things, like I have a knack for science, I have a knack for the arts, I have a knack, you name it, I got a knack for it. And that's because I'm able to tune in on all these experiences. You see what I'm saying? It's there. It's all there. And this is one of the things that you start to be able to do. We can talk about it in any way you want. We can talk about it scientifically. We can talk about it philosophically. We can talk about it however you want to do it. But that's just lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of experiences. Then shifting from one 25,000 year period to the next 25,000 year period in a lineage that experimented with the natural laws of this universe in a unique manner. It's like our technology today goes toward the mechanical universe. Okay. Our technology in those days did not go toward the mechanical universe, but the vibratory universe, which now, at the beginning of this period, you're beginning to switch back to. So those tools that were available to us in those days can again become available to us now. And they are available. And the way of doing it is right here and really very simple. But it takes arriving at a certain place to be able to use it. Yeah.
Don't we all become awakened on our left? Don't we all have to become awakened from the last to the here?
Yeah, you have to become awakened before you can stop the cycle. Okay. Before you can stop the cycle at this level. That is the earth plane level. But you enter another cycle on a larger wheel. If you look at everything, tells you the truth about the law. All right? If you look at the Milky Way, what you see is this big spiral. Okay? Millions of stars. But then you look over there and there's another galaxy. And there's another one. Millions and billions of stars. And if you move back, you'll see that all of those billions are a big cluster, and there's another big cluster over there. It's the dynamics of the universe. It's how the forces are created. That is the way the dimensions also work. So you got this giant wheel you call the Earth sphere, which is physical form. All right, so you keep riding this thing back and back and back and back, and all of a sudden you say, "Oh, wake up, zip!" Now you're on a bigger wheel. That it can take many shapes. I'll tell you a story. In, I don't know, somewhere around 70, before 75, maybe about 74. Well, see, I was new at this whole awakening game. All right.
So what, you just been awakened?
73. was my awakening. And I wasn't saying a whole lot of anything. I was just kind of watching, just checking out. Because I wasn't, I knew what I had done and I was accepted it, but I just wanted to be sure I wasn't crazy, So I just watched people. I watched their behaviors and I wanted to see if everything was consistent in humankind. So I watched and I got involved with a couple of people, several people, and we went down to Mexico. Went up to this village way the fuck up in the mountains, man. Way up there, where there was this legend of there was this 100-year-old mountain lion that roamed the village streets, and the villagers would go in and lock certain nights and lock their doors and shit. Shiver and quake. I swear, I don't see this sucker. So it was like 2-3 days before my birthday. And I decided, well, I'm going to fast, and I'm going to climb this mountain. All right. So I took these 2 other fools with me. They had no idea what the fuck was going on. They claimed to be, we're big, high, muckety-muck spiritual beings, and we're going to help you with this thing, right? So we go up the mountain, go up one peak. And I get up there, and they had a cage that came down over this little pass. The pass was only like about this wide. And you had to squeeze up this thing and come out on top of the mountain. I didn't know they had a gate, so they locked the gate. So, damn, okay. But it was a twin peak mountain. So to climb, I haven't eaten in days. I've been on a fast. So climb down and climb up the other peak. I was like, damn. I don't know how many thousands of feet you're up in the air. The oxygen is thin, and it's like. And these fools that I have with me have no discipline. They're just 2 fools. Get up there, and man, a storm came out of nowhere. I mean, it just dropped gallons of water. And it's like we had put the tent up, and we got soaked through the tent. It came down, it started washing rocks off and shit. Said, oh man, we got to get out. So down the mountain we come. We get, I don't know, below the forest line, because there was vegetation on top. So we came below that line. It was as dry as a bone. No rain, no nothing. Saying, well, maybe I better rethink this whole idea. So come down to the village of Tepos Lawn. And by now, these 2 people I have with me are bitching and moaning, because we're staying in this big luxury hotel. So, okay, big time machismo, shaman. Says, well, we'll go back to the nice hotel here. So we go back to the hotel. And something inside of me is just not right. So I said, well, okay, what I'm going to do, I decided to do this meditation at the hour of my birth, on my birthday. And we got back there in time enough for me to do it. It was like 3 minutes before my birth. I sat down and bam! It was just like, I sat down, boom, and the next thing I know, I was in this place. And I'm looking around, I'm leaning against this thing. And I'm looking around, it's like You know, it's like the old Roman Senate. And there are all these people sitting there in these hoods. But you can't see their faces, and what the hell is going on? What the fuck? A minute ago, I was sitting in the hotel. What the hell? And then I began to get these messages, and I realized, whoa, I'm in trouble. And I looked down, and I was leaning on my own coffin. I woke straight up, bam! My body shot to attention, and it was like I heard what they were saying to me. I had made a real bad mistake by introducing some fools to something that they should not have been introduced to. But it wasn't my intention because I didn't know. I knew, but I wasn't admitting to myself that I knew. Man, you talk about fast talking. I commenced to talking shit. And I commenced to remembering shit and remembering all this stuff. And they didn't say anything. They just looked at me. And I'm sweating bullets. And they just got up and walked away. And this calm, this peace came over me, and bam, I was back in the room. I learned you don't mess around with fools. See, I learned a real important message that this is no goddamn game. All right? I remembered that this was where the promise was made. And I was fucking around all over the world. Oh, what's happening? Oh, what's happening? What's happening? Wasting time and not gathering the people who were supposed to be around me. Then getting ready to involve these two fools in something, and it was like, okay, you do what you said you were going to do because that's the only reason you're here. Get it done. Gotcha. It was a group it is the group that exists kind of on the periphery and kind of guide the energies of the earth. I had another encounter with that group when this happened. And I had another choice. And the choice was, okay, you did what you're supposed to do. Okay. You can take your seat. I don't want a seat. But now I know who I am. Okay. Now I know who I am. I know who the fuck I am. Fuck you. All of you. I have no intention of becoming a part of that kind of group.
It's sort of like in the circle of iron, when the guy gets to the place to look at the book. And the guy said, you don't have to look at the book, you can just take my place.
Kind of, except it's called the 500. Yeah. And see, you can kind of sit there and it's noble and wonderful. That's why I say it's kind of like that. But it's a noble and wonderful thing because it influences the earth and helps the direction of the earth. But what I'm saying is, I'm free. There's out there waiting for me. I've given a lot to this world, and I still give a lot to this world. It's like we sit here and we talk and this, but you don't see the things that go on when I'm not here, or when I'm not with you. Sometimes it's like I say, I got to go. I got things I have to do. Well, people think in general, oh, he's whatever, whatever, whatever. Well, I have things I have to do, okay, and I do those things, and I'm responsible to those things because I'm responsible to the earth. Now, there's this realm here that I choose to be responsible for. There are enough to be responsible toward the earth. And this whole 500 thing is kind of like one moves out, one moves in. I don't want to move in. I don't want to sit around with a bunch of dusty old dead people, Right. I'm the earth, God. Yeah, it's kind of like that, except it just exhibits an influence. You see, rather than says or deal proclamation, and it is perfectly correct. It's perfectly correct for the earth sphere. It is perfectly correct. It's just, that day, it's like I watched above the table, and I watched them, and I had a good laugh watching this little bitty man trying to get into my chest. Okay, they couldn't get into my chest. The muscles, too much muscle tissue. So they tried to get the, huh?
Did they get a chainsaw?
Well, they had to, after they broke the sternum, well, they couldn't get they got this thing that they get in there and they turn, but they couldn't get it open enough because they were too weak to get the thing in there to turn it. So I kind of watched that and saw that. And then it was like I stood on a line. And when they stopped the heart, it was like I stood on this line, and to my left was infinity. And it was like, it was a darkness that was warm and soothing and with a consistency that you could feel. And in that was everything that I could ever want. Over here was like light and the world. And it was like this thing said, or was saying, not that it was saying, here's everything you've ever been promised, which is infinity, to write whatever you will write. It's your shot at being God, which is everybody's shot, okay? And it was like, wow. And then was the touch with the 500. It's like, yeah. No. So that was the last touch with that. Then watching them trying to get it started, and then knowing the secret of life and death. Knowing that to die was only a matter of a choice, or to live was only a matter of a choice. And I could hear your thoughts, and I could hear your feelings. And I thought, well, they're not a bad group. They're a pain in the ass, but I kind of like them, So, that's just the way I think. You imagine when all of my creations come together and start looking for their God, he's sitting up calling about asshole and motherfucker and shit like that. They gotta have the Church of the Divine Asshole. And it was a matter then of, okay, this is what I want to do. And stepping in and boom, heart starts beating. And this woman, I can't think of her name now. She's a very large woman, came from New York. Big woman. What? Anybody remember her? I can't remember her name now, but she was over me like that, and she said, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I thought that I was back in the room. I thought I was in the room. But I was still in surgery. She had come at the, quote, astral level to find out if I was okay.
Wow.
And because later on I said to her, the next time I saw her in New York, I said, thanks for coming in and inquiring about me, coming into my room and inquiring. She said, I'd come in there. I never got into your room. Okay, so, but that is the other experience, and that's the experience, the last experience with that. So, your choice, once awakening, your choice is your own. I did this out of an agreement.
Are you saying that your heart and
Yeah.
support of
See, that's the difference. When I went where I went, I chose to stay. When I went to God, I chose to stay. And I chose to say to the world, fuck you. I am what I am. I went where I went. I know what I know. And I choose to stand before you and say, you are crazy. A guy said to me once, a guy was a professor at the University of Chicago. I had the displeasure of spending some time together with this man down in South America. Crazy son of a bitch. He says, John, you have the knack of being able to say things to people and making them believe that you're correct.
God.
Is that psychology teacher?
No, this was a linguist.
Wow.
This was a linguist. Well, what I'm saying about that is because that's what I am, because what I'm saying is true. There's no doubt, and I can say it to anybody. And I say it because, and it sounds like it's real, because it's real. The point of it is that I chose to remain there and admit it. Whereas when you go out there, mostly you'll get there and choose to come back to behave like men. So you have to choose to behave like God. Yes, it's a choice. You make the choice and you say, you may think I'm crazy, but I know you're fucking crazy. You say, so I know you're crazy, so I stand here and I say, this is so.